Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be talking about wraps in Fortnite Save the World, and more specifically, how exactly they could work in Fortnite Save the World. For those of you guys that know me, I am a huge cosmetic person. Cosmetics in video games are a very big thing to me whenever it comes to weapon skins, whenever it comes to character skins, you know, the whole back bling thing, everything that pretty much is in Battle Royale, I really wish was in Save the World. But one of the main things, of course, is wraps, because for me in Save the World, weapons are my favorite aspect of the game. I like looking at weapons, upgrading my weapons, and then, you know, talking about them, taking a look at damage values and how they perform, yada yada. And being able to get that extra amount of customization is a huge thing for me. And whenever you look at the community as a whole, you know, especially whenever you were talking about wraps, whenever it's concerning weapons, there's basically two sides of the fence. You got some people that say that wraps can't work in the game, and you have some people that say that wraps can work in the game. And in today's video, I created my own concept, I guess my own little concept art, for how exactly this could work in Fortnite Save the World, and just kind of go over my idea behind wraps actually getting implemented to the game, because any form of weapon customization that can be added to the game, I really want to see in Fortnite Save the World. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So I think it goes without saying that whenever it comes to cosmetics, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer for Epic Games. It really bothers me that they haven't added cosmetics into the game as of yet, because every single day that goes by when they don't have cosmetics in Save the World, they are literally losing money. It is a bad move from a business perspective to not add cosmetics to the game, which really confuses me. So in today's video, I'm just going to showcase really how simple it could be to add cosmetics in the form of wraps to Fortnite Save the World. Of course, we already know a lot about emotes. Emotes are on the way. We saw some examples of emotes working with Kyle at Unreal Fest, and I made a whole video about that. But one thing that's never really been talked about, of course, is wraps. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and I'm going to go ahead and showcase to you guys my own little concept art for wraps in Save the World. So let's go ahead and take a look at this image right here. This is an image of the Deathstalker. Now, the first thing that you will probably notice that is different about this is the fact that you can look right above the perks, and you can see that the perks category is selected. You also have the crafting category, and along with that, you have the wraps category. So this, of course, would be where you select your wraps for your Deathstalker specifically. I think that a wrap system, if it were tied to the locker, really wouldn't make that much sense. So I decided that I would want to tie wraps to the schematic itself just to make things a lot more simple. So if we go ahead and go on over to the next image, you can see that the player that is playing the game has clicked on the wraps option, and you can see that a whole list of wraps has just opened up for him to select for his Deathstalker. Now, I'm not that good at Photoshop to be able to showcase what it would look like with the wrap on it, but this is just as far as I went. So what they could do is they could add the wrap category to the perks and the crafting, allowing you to be able to select that and then apply that to your gun before you go out on a mission and then you end up crafting them. And of course, you know, you apply a specific wrap to a Deathstalker. All the Deathstalkers that are in your backpack are going to turn to that wrap. Any Deathstalker that you pick up and use will be that wrap, and all that kind of stuff. I just think that this system right here is a very good system for implementing wraps. However, I'm not done yet. I have a lot more to go over. That is just the basic way that I feel as though they should work. They should not be tied to the locker. There are way too many guns in the game. They should be tied to the individual schematics themselves. But let's go ahead and take a look at a weapon that is very unique, a weapon that's a lot more complex than your average weapon, and one that really would not work with wraps. The main argument that I find that a lot of people give, oh, wraps, they don't belong in Save the World, there's too many guns, there's so many guns that are too complex, yada yada yada. Well, let's take a look at this pain train concept that I made for these wraps. Now, if we go ahead and go on over to the actual wrap category on this weapon, go ahead and go over to the menu, you can see that the wraps are locked. And if we read the note that's at the bottom, it says, note, this weapon is too unique or a part of a specifically themed set. Wraps will not apply to this weapon. And this, to me, is just the easiest way to solve problems like this. You have weapons like the Heartbreaker, the Snowball Launcher, the Nocturno, the Gravedigger, the Pain Train, the Jack-o'-Launcher. So many guns in this game are extremely unique, or they are very specifically tied to a very specific looking set, as to where wraps could basically ruin the way that the weapon looks and the entire vibe of the weapon. So essentially, all you really have to do is make it as to where wraps just aren't going to work for those weapons. And I know some people would be like, well, why would you do that in the first place? You know, why would some weapons have access to some wraps and then other weapons wouldn't? And I would argue, if you were to take a look at the way that the skins work in Battle Royale, you have a lot of skins that are out there that have selectable styles. These skins are ones that you can customize even further than other skins. And then of course you have other skins that do not have selectable styles, and you cannot customize them as much as you would like. It is the same situation here. The Deathstalker just so happens to be a weapon that is very versatile, and it looks like a normal assault rifle, but the Pain Train is designed from the ground up to look like a train. If you were to put a wrap on the Pain Train, not only would it make it not look like a train, but it would just make it look odd in general. The weapon's supposed to look the way that it's named after. You have cold, you have snow, you have a light, you have a bell. Everything that screams a train vibe is on this weapon, so of course you wouldn't want to put a wrap on it. Very specific weapons like the Ghost Pistol and the Nocturno and the Gravedigger are extremely unique, and you wouldn't want to put a wrap on them as well. So all you would have to do is just lock the option to be able to put wraps on these weapons. Now, that of course is going to beg the question, what weapons would you be able to put wraps on, and which weapons would you not be able to put wraps on? So if we're not going to be talking about specific weapons, if we're not going to be talking about unique weapons, and instead we're going to be talking about weapon sets, you know, we're not talking about the Nocturno, the Gravedigger, Pain Train, Ghost Pistol, Jack-o'-lantern, we're going to be talking about actual weapon sets. So what weapon sets would work with wraps if this concept were to become into a reality? Well, if we go ahead and take a look at, I believe, every single weapon set in the game, I may have missed one, and if I did, I do apologize, but we're going to go ahead and go over a big list of every single weapon that I would consider, every single weapon set that I would consider viable for this entire wrap system. So let's go ahead and go over those. So first up, of course, we have the base game weapons, you know, stuff like the Siegebreaker, the Thrasher, the Tiger Jaw, the Room Sweeper, all this kind of stuff. The base game weapons, the weapons that were with this game, you know, the day that it launched and whatever. Half of these weapons, or you know, a majority of them have seen their way to Battle Royale anyways and have their own wraps over in Battle Royale, so nothing new there, right? They're just normal looking weapons. Next up, we have the military weapons. This is a no-brainer. I'm pretty sure every single one of these weapons has been in Battle Royale, and they work with wraps. We already know that they do. They look like normal weapons. It would not be difficult whatsoever to apply wraps to these weapons. Next up, we have the Scavenger Weapons. This, of course, is another weapon set that is no different from any other weapon set. It is just a normal looking set of guns, nothing special, nothing crazy unique, just you know, a few rugged guns that are thrown together. Just apply some paint jobs, aka wraps, to them, and there you go. Next up, we have the Rat Rod set. This set is modeled after cars, and cars have paint jobs, so why not be able to put a wrap on a weapon set based off of a car? So the Rat Rod set, the Rat King, the Swan, the Rat-a-tat, these would work just fine with wraps. Next up, we have the hydraulic set. You're looking at stuff like the Hydra, the Pummeler, and all that kind of stuff. The hydraulic set would work just fine. Next up, we have the Flintlock Weapons, the Jack's Revenge, Dragoon, Bundle Bus, everything like that. These weapons are, of course, a set of normal looking weapons. Nothing out of the ordinary right here. And of course, lastly, we have the Steampunk Weapons, the Steam Piston, Double Boiler, Steam Roller, Duet, everything like that. They would look just fine with wraps. Now, what weapons would look very strange with wraps, or what weapons would I say to not maybe put wraps on? I mean, we do gotta remember that the Save the World dev team, of course, does not have the resources that the Battle Royale dev team does. So I decided to take into consideration a bunch of group of weapon sets that would either look very weird or would be very difficult to apply wraps to. Now, of course, every single one of these weapons could work with wraps, but in my personal opinion, these weapons are very uniquely themed around a certain style on how they're gonna look, and if you do have wraps applied to them, that might ruin the entire theme or the entire look of the weapons. So the weapons that I would say maybe let's not put wraps on would be the following. Let's take a look at the retro Sci-Fi set. If we were to apply wraps to these weapons, it would completely ruin the idea of a retro Sci-Fi looking weapon set, and just the wraps would look very odd. Of course, you could put wraps on these weapons if you wanted to, of course, if the devs were to allow it, but in my opinion, it would kind of ruin the retro Sci-Fi vibe. Next up, the vacuum tube weapons. Now, these are a little bit more lenient. Maybe possibly you could have wraps on these, but I feel as though the yellow lights that they have going on mixed with the wood are very specific. And of course, this is all themed around a Christmas type event, so the yellow and then the wood, just, I don't know, it kind of screams a little bit of a Christmas vibe to me, and I would feel odd if they were to be changed with wraps. So I would say the vacuum tube set, let's not put wraps on those. Next up, we have the dragon weapons, and this is probably one of the best examples that I have. If you were to put wraps on any of these weapons, they would would no longer look like they are themed after dragon weapons. You know, the dragon's roar would not look the same, the dragon's might would not look the same, and any of these really would just look very odd. So I would say that the dragon weapons should stay red, and they should stay the way that they are. Next up, the neon weapons. These weapons are built from the ground up to look like stereotypical laser weapons, and I would say that if you were to put wraps on these, that could potentially make them just look a little bit weird in my opinion. Next up, the Vindertech Weapons. This of course is from Vindertech itself. This is a company that develops these weapons in the Fortnite universe, and just seeing a bunch of wraps on them would look weird unless, you know, of course they got brought back to home base and maybe a bunch of people started putting paint jobs on these weapons. I don't know, but just to me, the Vindertech weapons, I would rather them stay the way that they look. Next up, we have the medieval weapons, and these of course are very much themed around medieval themes. They have, you know, the shield and the steel and the blue and the wood and all that kind of stuff. I feel as though if wraps were applied to these, then they really wouldn't give off that entire medieval vibe. And lastly, I have just the melee weapons as a whole. I don't know exactly how melee weapons would work with wraps, and honestly, I feel as though it would just be a little bit weird to see melee weapons with wraps. This isn't something that we've even seen in Battle Royale, so I don't entirely know how melee weapons would really work with wrap. But anyways, that's pretty much my entire concept whenever it does come to actual weapon wraps coming to Fortnite Save the World. You know, you have that set of weapons that really look like they belong, that they look like they should be able to be changed and have wraps applied to them, and then you have the other weapon sets that, you know, maybe if you were to apply wraps to them, they would look a little too different from what they're trying to, you know, show off, I guess. You're not going to get medieval vibes from a weapon that doesn't even look medieval, the same way that you're not going to get dragon vibes from a weapon that doesn't even look like it's a part of a dragon weapon set. That's pretty much my concept for wraps in Fortnite Save the World. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below. I hope you guys did enjoy the concept art that I made as well. It was just something that I threw together really quick in Photoshop. Nothing too special, but I do feel as though it works very well, and I would definitely love to see something like this come to Fortnite Save the World in the future, as I absolutely love customization, like I said, and just having those extra options really couldn't hurt in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow we will have the boom bow coming out, so tomorrow will actually be a pretty monumentous day, and the day after that, Epic Games of course does get back from vacation, so I'm hoping to see a very good amount of content, and maybe we will hear some things regarding, you know, emotes and cosmetics in the future. But yeah, this has been my video on wraps and Save the World. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know your ideas in the comments down below. Subscribe if you're new, because I make videos like this all the time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.